Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Jared Jackson, Jason Rubin. The NFL playoff bracket is finally set. Not nearly as much drama in Week 17 as there have been in other years since the NFL went to this intra-division. Still not sure. Intra-division. Pretty sure. We're going with that. Thanks for helping, guys.
I'm not sure where you were going with it.
Matchups at the end of the year. Definitely, though, great drama there. The 1 week, the one game with the Bills and the Jets, and Rex Ryan obviously knocking the Jets out while the Steelers took care of business against Cleveland. That was good stuff.
I think you're going with interdivision.
Interdivision?
I believe
so.
Think about baseball when you have the AL players.
No, I know. It's literally one of those things.
Interleague play.
Interleague play.
Intra-league play.
So I was right. So this was intra-division.
Yes, if it's within your own, then it's intra.
Intra-division.
Oh, I thought it was crossing over.
Thank you.
I thought it was
Thanks for
crossing
helping.
over. Yeah.
You just chime in at the end. Like,
With the actual right answer.
no, he had the right answer.
No,
I
he had the wrong
want
answer.
inter because
He reminded me interdivision play, so this would be intra-division games.
yeah.
He had the right answer.
Because actually, I don't know the setup that they have. That's why I didn't know.
Yeah, right. He just didn't know this. He didn't know who played who.
Fair enough. Continue.
All right. It's a good start to this clip. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket. Can we get that up there, Ja'Cory? Okay, so there's what we are. Let's take a look at the left side of the screen, the NFC. Washington will host Green Bay. That game, by the way, is the final game of the weekend. That's at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern on Sunday. The other game in the NFC, Minnesota will host Seattle. That game is, both the NFC games are on Sunday. That game is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 out here. And, of course, Seattle coming in, I think, as a 6-point favorite in that game in Minnesota, which is amazing. Vikings go 11-5. They got a strong defense. They got a run game to keep the score close. They got a quarterback who doesn't make plays but doesn't make a lot of mistakes either. Mm-hmm. But yet the way the Seahawks just trampled Arizona has made everybody scared to face Seattle. Understandably, Seattle crushed Minnesota earlier this year, so I understand it.
The only thing I don't like about anything with Week 17, and I wonder what the history says, but the recency bias has bit most of us in the past, and especially when it comes to predictions, because all three of us have no idea what the actual hell is going to happen. And yeah, Seattle did crush Arizona. Arizona's still an extremely competent football team and has home field advantage, and Seattle's a different team on the road than they are at home. We've always known that. But they look, the way Russell Wilson's playing, but all of that can come to a screeching halt when they face Minnesota, in Minnesota.
First game on Sunday, which is one. NFL for years now has done this, I thought, in a really great way. The games start late Saturday, so you actually get an East Coast primetime game Saturday. Saturday games out here on the West Coast are 1:30 and 5. Sunday games at 10 and 1:30.
I mean, that's one of the things, Teddy Bridgewater for the Vikings. I mean, when you have the kind of defense, the rabid defense that Seattle has, and honestly, he doesn't make that many mistakes, but the reason he doesn't make that many plays is he doesn't have much time in general. I mean, he doesn't stand there in the pocket like Tom Brady generally gets to, and he hasn't. We'll talk about that, but he doesn't get much. He hasn't got much protection either lately, which is why they're losing at near the end of the season. It's like when you stumble into the playoffs, it's not always just your stars that are doing it. You got to look at the guys that are in front of him and what they're creating from it. And it almost seems like a bit of a perfect storm for the way Seattle defense is playing against the way this offensive line is playing and the different things that Pete Carroll and the defensive coordinator are going to throw at these guys. And I just wonder if they're going to prepare correctly for it. You got to make sure that they prepare to handle what's going to come.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Vikings in that game, but I like the Vikings to cover in that game, but it's a scary proposition because if Seattle gets up 14-0, it's hard, 17-0, 17-3, 20-3, it's hard to see Minnesota coming back in that game where they got to throw the ball. But totally intriguing matchup, and I like that game. The colder it is, make it cold. Cold.
You think it's not an afternoon game? It's at least earlier in the afternoon, but
but it could any moment in Minnesota in January it could be -8. Beautiful country. All right, so Washington and Green Bay. I think that the temptation is to talk about Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs against Kirk Cousins. Never started a playoff game, obviously, but I think that's nonsense. These are professionals. I don't know that we have any evidence that people who've never started a playoff game after having a good year do worse. I don't. Rodgers is a better quarterback. There's no question, but Kirk Cousins is playing extremely well. I don't know. I think Washington wins this game. They're playing as well as they have all year.
That's where I don't think it's the nonsensical wins to focus on. I think it's the two of the bad losses, and I'm going to explain precisely against the Vikings, in which they gave Aaron Rodgers 3 chances to win that game, and he couldn't do it. And then also when they retired Brett Favre's number, I believe that was Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers, again, had 3 opportunities within 6 minutes.
That was the Bears, right?
That was the Bears, and he couldn't beat the Bears either. Now, if we're going to use the idea that this is Aaron Rodgers and he can overcome all that stuff, well, yeah, there's a chance that he goes in and dismantles Washington, but we haven't seen him do it. We haven't seen him do it at literally at all the entirety of the season.
I don't think there's a chance that he dismantles Washington.
He's a great quarterback. He's not going to sell him short, but I don't think
they could they win that game 24-20? Could they pull that game out? No question. Of course they could. It's the Packers. It's Aaron Rodgers.
But I would be shocked if it's 38-0 Green Bay.
I don't think they can do that. Because Washington's defense is fairly stout. I'm amazed that Jay Gruden is showing some competence. I'm still incredibly dubious, and he still wasn't the GM's hire, and so I don't know how long his future. I mean, obviously he'll be back next year. But and I want only bad things to happen to Dan Snyder, not personally,
just with this team,
health related,
yes,
but
sure,
professionally and with his
You're
team.
100% sure about that.
So that's interesting because it's I'm going to watch. It's going to be a home football game for Washington in the playoffs. It's a real test for having grown up such a rabid Skins fan, right? To turn around and root against them. I don't know. My hunch is I'll fail, and I'll have moments where I'll be like, yes,
it's in you somewhere.
weak.
So you never fully transformed to a Bills fan?
No,
you don't have those moments of yes.
No, I don't have it for anybody. I certainly I'm generally pleased when Washington loses, but I get caught up in it. I don't know, we'll see. Nobody cares.
I guess the hard part is just both of these teams are coming from a division, when you think about it, was generally weak. I mean, of course, the Vikings looked good, and we talk about how the Packers are in the playoffs, but they look like one of those lower tier in the division teams because of what they could have done if they didn't have these kind of last-second victories. But I mean, we know how the division with the Cowboys and the Washington team, and everybody looked in that division. So it was just whoever decided to not choke enough or look amateur enough could have done something in that division, which is why there's this negative view of Washington. It's like, they came out of the division that no one really paid attention to because no one wanted to see that level of bad football.
The hat you're wearing has done that twice. Backed in with an 8-8 record, 9-7 record. Although out of all this year specifically, the Redskins have been the most consistent team in that division.
They have been, and the defense is better than people thought. And they got a kicker, and they make field goals, and they
win games.
And now all of a sudden, Matt Jones didn't play last week, but I mean they have a couple of competent running backs. The running game is not strong, but all of a sudden, those, Crowder, the third receiver, has been good, and Garcon, and when Deshaun Jackson is healthy, obviously, and then we're leaving out Jordan Reed. So between 3 pretty good receivers, a competent running game, and a right below Gronkowski and Greg Olsen level tight end, probably the 3rd best tight end in the NFL, most dynamic pass-catching tight end in the NFL. He's sort of what Jimmy Graham had been. That's an offense that can put up some points, and a quarterback. They made the right decision. I thought they should. I thought RG3 should be starting, but Kirk Cousins turned into a more than serviceable starter.
And as we point
KC3.
out, they look
KC3.
And as we point out, also there's the defense of Green Bay looks a little less than what you'd expect. I didn't realize this, but last night they pointed out that Matthews had 0 tackles in 2 straight games.
That's amazing.
And didn't even want to hear about it when they brought it up to him. So what's happening there? You know?
But keep this in mind. One, Mike McCarthy can mess a game up, no question. But Kirk Cousins is still a quarterback who took a knee to try to stop the clock at the end of the first half of the Eagles game.
That's probably my favorite moment of the entire season.
So that was such a dramatic clown move that I could see a guy making a dramatic clown move in a playoff game.
It was a panic move, right?
It was such a panic move. I mean, he took a knee. With no timeouts. Other thing, you're supposed to spike it. But everything, that play was already acting weirdly, that whole sequence. Yeah. But so could Kirk Cousins let Washington down in a major way? I mean, he's still, what he has shown over the last 4 weeks really is much more consistency since that Dallas loss, much more consistency. Because his thing was, wow, he looked pretty good. He threw for 300 yards, threw for 3 or 4 touchdowns, but he then believes he can get the ball in anywhere, and he can't. So he'd throw some horrible, horrible picks, but he's shown more consistency. So anyway, I like Washington in that game because I think something's really wrong. I think they're 3-17 in the last 10 games. In the AFC, let's take a look at what the AFC game is. The first game, AFC, both games are on Saturday. 1:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, Kansas City at Houston. It's the annual Houston Texans playoff game. Amazingly, they're not playing the Bengals. I think Houston has played the Bengals in the playoffs the last 9 years. I mean, literally, there's no duller playoff game than the Bengals and the Texans. But we're not getting it this year. The Bengals and the Chiefs have won 10 in a row. You got to give Andy Reid and Alex Smith credit for taking a 1-5 team, making them 11-5. They're on the road in Houston, but a big home field advantage for Kansas City at home. They don't get that, but they're obviously a better team, having won 10 in a row, 11-5, than Houston, who, like Washington, won an extremely weak division.
And at Kansas City, they point out every week how they keep winning and the way they keep winning. But, I mean, it's weird. After Alex Smith was kind of not run out of San Francisco, but kind of after you have an injury and you're like, oh, Alex Smith is still viable. He's the one who kind of started this whole process of your winning. And he just kind of gets walked out. Everyone kind of locked in their brains, this guy's no good. He's not no good. He's pretty good. And then, it seems weird. There's not much attention paid to this team. I don't know why. It's because they play in a division where no one wants to watch Denver. And, no one wants to watch them beat up on San Diego anymore. So we just stopped paying attention in a way. But, I mean, I think we're going to see it when they play against Houston. We're going to finally see full-on how good these guys are. I think it's going to be pretty easy, honestly.
I don't know, man. The letdowns that Andy Reid will give you in the playoffs are profound. So, I mean, I'm going to be on Kansas City in this game. But I fully expect a devastating, puzzling lack of either they're out of timeouts, they don't have any at the end of the game, and they need him, but they're better. And Alex Smith is a better quarterback than Brian Hoyer. So I like the Chiefs.
You're both leaving out a major component to both of these teams, and that's defense, which has won their games more so than I'd say Alex Smith or Andy Reid or Brian Hoyer, Brian Football as we call him. But J.J. Watt's got 17.5 sacks in the season. If he becomes a monster on that line, he starts causing havoc for Alex Smith. That could be a problem. And even more important for the Chiefs is Justin Houston, who sat Week 17, is likely to be back. He has a little bit of a knee injury against the Texans, because I can't even remember who they're playing. Justin Houston is a terror in the midfield, especially as a linebacker.
In the midfield, Jesus, we're talking about
it's a lot of football crossover. Sorry, guys. But Dontari Poe and I think it was Eric Berry who was walking off with Charles Woods.
Who's the Chiefs' keeper? I can't remember.
The Chiefs' keeper would be Eric Berry in the secondary, I guess you'd call him. The defense is what this game's going to come down to, because it's not like Alex Smith is going to light somebody up for 5 touchdowns, and it's certainly not as likely.
I don't think so. I hear you. They both have good defenses, and they're relevant, and they're worth bringing up.
Yes, 100%.
But these aren't game-changing defenses.
I think they're more game-changing than their offenses are.
I don't think so. I think that the defenses have been good, but not great, and certainly not the kind of defenses that totally
Good
shut
enough
people.
to get them into the playoffs.
Good enough to get them into the playoffs, yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the last game. Another home dog, and that's obviously solely, that's two circumstances there, is that the way people are afraid of Seattle, similar, not as dramatic. I think people are afraid of Pittsburgh because of their ability to put up 38 points on anybody. And the Bengals would never be an underdog at home if Andy Dalton were playing, but he isn't. And so it'll be A.J. McCarron, who looks good. There's no question. He looks like an NFL quarterback.
He's one of those guys who backed up exactly what he was saying. When he had the chance, he's like, oh, really? I don't know why we're talking about letdowns. I'm A.J. motherfucking McCarron. I like that.
Have you seen my girlfriend?
Right, there you go.
Did y'all forget about me? I like that stuff. Because, again, I was on that same thought process. I was like, oh, Bengals. It happened to them again. And he kind of convinced me. Mostly because of that. I'm like, okay. Show me something, AJ.
The Steelers, just because of experience, Roethlisberger's been there before, and he's proven he can do it before. And look, Antonio Brown's good for what? At least 9 catches?
Yeah, unbelievable. I look forward to that game, but I think I'll probably take the Bengals.
Yeah, I'm on that.
But that's tough.
It's hard to say.
That's the game that I look forward to seeing most. That's the primetime game, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on Saturday.
Cool.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Back next week.